A few months ago, I was in the Lachish region, and I saw a large tel, and it just so happens that that tel is one of the few that I didn't visit during my army service. And I said, I want to visit. And my people said, you can't visit that tel because we haven't arranged their security in advance and so on. But I said, that's not a problem. You know why? Because there's no one here. Tel Lachish, one of the most dramatic sites in the history of the Jewish people. That tel, the reliefs of which could be found in Iraq, which show the siege and the epistles of Lachish. This glorious tel is abandoned. It's falling apart. The walls are deserted, and there's no one there. So after some time, a group of Russian tour guides arrived there. Not a single veteran Israeli. I was there for almost an hour. A few years earlier, on the way to the prison in Atlit, I was a parent accompanying, a night excursion of one of my children on the way to break into the prison. Detention camp in Atlit. We were on the beach, and I suddenly saw a house, a building, on the water, in the moonlight. I walked away from the group, and I saw a building with one room on the water, about to fall apart, just about to collapse. I asked, what is this? I was told that is the house from which Aaron Aronson and the Nili underground signaled the British. I always thought they did it from the Carmel Mountain, but then the Turks would have seen the signals from the beach. But from the waterline, they could signal, and that's exactly what they did. And that was a glorious part without which this land could not have been liberated. They helped the British liberate the land of Israel from the Turks. So here is an example of the transition from our ancient past to our recent past, but you can pass by them and you wouldn't know, and nobody visits them. So we're going to change that. Around the date of the 11th of Adar, until Chai Day in the coming month, I plan to present to the government a work plan that will change this matter of the desertion and abandonment of the heritage site. I will call this the Heritage Plan to rebuild and rehabilitate and preserve archaeological sites, settlement sites, buildings for preservation, historical museums. We will also preserve less physical, less tangible infrastructures, archives, books, pictures, music, song. We will turn all these things and make them accessible. We will use the newest technologies and give artists freedom so that it can be accessible to every child in Israel, every family, every citizen of the country. I want you to think about spending time with your children or grandchildren at one of these sites. I don't say it's okay. You can go to a movie, you can go out, you can go to a bar, but add this aspect as well and see what this can do. And I'm telling you, I talk from experience. Think about an excursion of a father and child to a Jewish heritage site, understanding the deeper meaning of the heritage, exactly like the commandment, and thou shalt tell thy son. These things that we are talking about will be funded by government funding. It will take 5 years. It will cover a long list of projects, organizations, education systems, and it will be the first step in our commitment to breathe new life into the Israeli experience. I am talking about rehabilitating those sites that tell the story of the Jewish people and the land of Israel, the story of the Jewish settlement, and those places of memory. A large part of those assets are falling apart, and we will take them and preserve them and empower them and enhance them and illuminate them in a way that it will, so that they will be understood and become part of the educational system of Israel's children. We recently read in a study that young people with the greatest motivation in military service are those that hike through the country a lot. The example that I take, and it's a good example, is Shvil Yisrael, the Israeli path. It has been extremely successful. Within 10 years, the initiators of this program meant to turn this route into a highly desirable destination for young people and not so young people, through which they get to know the country and they connect to it. According to the program that I will present to the government, we will inaugurate within 5 years, alongside Shvil Yisrael, 2 additional paths. One is the historical path of the land of Israel, which will connect dozens of ancient archaeological sites. In our small part of the world, there are thousands of ancient sites, 800 of which are of clear national importance, but sadly only 50 have been arranged properly so that the public can visit them, and they are all not in good state either. And this will change on a very large scale. The second path that we will prepare is the Israeli Experience Path, a path of the treasures of this land. It will be a living museum of the land of Israel that will connect between dozens of stations in the history of the country, small museums, memorial sites, personal stories, all of those things from which the Zionist asset is made up. I know that you will ask me, is that the subject you decided to talk about here? In the discussion on our national strength and resilience? Yes, because sometimes small steps lead to big things. I would like to give you an example for 2 steps that are similar to what I've described here today that have changed the history of our people. I was recently in London. I visited in a cellar of a foundation called PEF, the Palestine Exploration Fund. This fund was established in about 1860 by Queen Victoria in order to map out and tour scientifically the land of Israel. Queen Victoria sent 2 people. One was called Claude Condot. He was the head of the delegation. The second was a young second lieutenant called Horatio Kitchener. He later became Lord Kitchener of Khartoum. And together they began to map out the country, including this place. And they made excellent, precise topographical maps, and they found all the ancient sites, and they renewed the names. They had measurement, the tools of the 19th century, and the Bible. The PEF, after some of the things that you're familiar here, for example, they brought Warren here, who found the Warren Arch and various other sites. This ignited the imagination of the nobility and the people of England. You have no idea what effect this had. And it led them to realize that the land of Israel is not in the heavens. It's here on earth. And perhaps it can be brought back to life with the nation, the original nation, coming back to live in it. That's how they began to talk then. And it took a few dozen years. And the second project was also a very modest one. And it ignited the imagination of young Jewish people. That was the project of Baron Rothschild. He established a number of sites here after the PEF. from Rosh Pina to Petach Tikva. Small communities, moshavot, renewed settlements in the ancient land. But this action ignited a flame. And one of those people swept up by that flame was a young man who came here in 1898, Benjamin Theodore Herzl, Benjamin Zev Herzl, and he probably used those maps of the PEF as he toured the country, and he visited those communities. And he realized what was once here, and even more so, he dared to envision and dream what could one day be here. And these two flames, which ignited the great empire that controlled the world at that time, and the new prophet of the Jewish people with many other young Jews, these two flames joined together, and that is Zionism. I don't want to say to you that we don't have huge tasks in all the important areas. We do, and we will carry them out. But we can carry them out only if we are imbued with our commitment to our past to ensure our future. And therefore, what I have declared here today, and I hope that you will invite me in a few years' time as well, about this subject, in about 5 years' time, say. Invite Zvika Hauser. He is responsible for implementing this plan. What we want to do today is to ignite this spark once again, to breathe new spirit into the flame of our lives, and to reconnect to this land, our land, the land of Israel, the only and wonderful land of the Jewish people. Thank you.